Well, hello, and welcome back to another podcast episode with Brittany Bundles. You are listening to the Brittany Bundles podcast, where we empower people through entrepreneurship. On this podcast, we talk hair business, lifestyle, and growing into your best self as an entrepreneur. If you are new here, my name is Brittany. I'm a serial entrepreneur, a hair business owner, and mentor who's been in the industry long enough to see the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Today, I'd like to talk about why most businesses fail within the first 1 to 3 years and what we can do to overcome some of those objections and obstacles that a lot of business owners face. So when most of us start a hair business, we're excited, right? Like we're motivated, we're pumped, we're ready to run. But somewhere along the way, reality hits, and that could look different for all of us. But the sales don't always come as quickly as we'd hoped. Support from friends and family may not have shown up, and the learning curve can feel overwhelming. So if you've ever felt this way, trust me, you are not alone. The truth is, most small businesses fail within the first 1 to 3 years. Okay. And like I said, this is what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. The hair industry is no exception to this rule. I've seen so many people launch with excitement only to quit months later because they were not prepared for what it really takes. And it really does break my heart because a lot of those businesses could have succeeded with the right tools and mindset. So that's why today we're going to have a real conversation. We're going to go into why most hair businesses fail within the first year. Realistically, it could be the first 1 to 3 years. And more importantly, how you can beat the odds. Okay. I'll share mistakes I've made personally, the mindset traps to avoid, and a clear blueprint that will help you not only survive, but actually thrive in this industry. So grab a notebook because I'm going to be real, raw, and practical. Let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, I'm going to ask that you all share the podcast. Sharing the podcast continues to help us grow. It also helps other entrepreneurs who are in the need of assistance and resources and tips. And also it sheds light on prior entrepreneurs that have been on this podcast platform, sharing resources and promoting their business and leaving us with valuable gems to help us succeed going forward. So I'm going to give you all a moment to share. Sharing can be done a lot of different ways. You can share by sharing this link on your social media. You can share by turning on the podcast when you're with a family member or a friend. You can share by word of mouth, just talking about the Brittany Bundles podcast. However you decide to share, we greatly appreciate it. I'll give you a moment to do that, and I'll be back in just a moment. All right. We're back. Thank you so much for sharing. So today, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about why some hair businesses fail within the first 1 to 3 years and some ways that we can avoid that. So the first thing that I want to talk about is some common mistakes that I see in the industry. Okay. The first mistake that I see is relying solely on word of mouth. A lot of us think that if your hair is good, if you have a good product, great quality, people will just spread the word. And while referrals are powerful, it's not enough to build a sustainable business. You need systems and marketing strategies that bring in consistent sales. When I first got into the hair industry, started selling hair, I assumed that for some reason my family and friends and people that saw my posts on social media were going to be all that I needed to make sales, and consistent sales at that. And I found out very quickly that that's just not the case. It was my job to be able to position myself to people that were interested in my specific niche. I had to realize that there are a lot of different hair extensions, and that when people talk about hair extensions, they may not automatically be talking about the type of hair extensions that I offer. And so being able to be strategic and focusing on my niche audience was so important to the start of my business. And it's just as important now. One thing that I see people do is rely on family and friends and other people to talk about their business more than they're talking about it. And although it's more than just talking about your business, I believe that's going to get you where you want to be. That's a huge part, but you have to make sure that you're having the conversations, number one, in the right area, in the right groups, with the right people, with the right audience. And also, you're having the right type of conversations, because just saying, "Hi, my name is Brittany and I sell virgin hair extensions," isn't always going to get it. So, it's learning how to start those conversations and open the conversations up to build a relationship with whoever you're connecting with, and connecting with more people in the industry, so that even if someone isn't looking for the type of hair extensions that you offer, you can refer them over to one of your colleagues that offer what they're looking for. And what that does is it positions you as someone that is interested in helping. It positions you as a resource, as an expert, as someone that's connected in the hair industry. And then other people, because you've referred business to them, they'll think about you next time someone comes and they're interested in a type of hair texture that maybe they don't offer, or a type of hair extension that they don't sell, but you do. And so it's all about creating relationships and having the right conversations, but being strategic while we're doing it. Word of mouth is so powerful. I'm never going to take away that that's an important tool, but it has to be used in the right aspect, to the right people, in the right way. The next thing that I want to go over is no systems in place. So I cannot stress this enough. Without structure for things like shipping, customer service, follow ups, you may burn out very quickly. Customers can tell when a business is disorganized, and a lot of times that will turn people off. Have you ever worked with a company and they couldn't find your order, or they didn't remember what you all talked about yesterday? You called and you may have talked about a certain product or service, and you thought that everything was being documented. And so you thought about it overnight and decided to go through. And then you call back just to find out that nothing has been documented, nothing's organized. And then you start thinking, well, if the company is really not organized, do I really want to do business with them? If they really don't have a level of customer service that I can expect that's consistent and exceptional, do I really want to work with them? Do I want to continue having conversations with them? Do I want to spend my money here? And so, just like you may have some of those thoughts, people may think that about you as well in your business if you don't have proper systems set up, if you don't have a way they can track their order, if you don't have a way that they can get in contact with you in a reasonable manner, if you don't have a system or a website where they can purchase seamlessly without having to contact you directly. So think about the convenience that your business brings. The next thing that I want to go over is underestimating marketing cost. So many people spend all of their budget on inventory and then wonder why nothing sells. Well, the truth is, if no one knows your product exists, it doesn't matter how great it is. You need to set money aside and time for marketing. And I talk about this a lot with beginners, people that are just getting started with their business, and they're like, I just want to buy all the inventory I can. And this is one reason that I came up with drop shipping, because I would have so many people that were just getting started with selling hair, and they would want to invest all of their money into purchasing inventory. And although I know there's a great benefit in having hair on hand, I don't want everyone to put all of their money just into purchasing inventory, because you also need to market. If you have all of the hair at your home, or all of the hair at a warehouse, and no one knows that you're offering hair extensions, what good is it? So there's so many working parts when it comes to running a business. Great quality is one portion. Having products available and accessible and a good vendor to work with, that's another aspect. I guess you can put the quality and the vendor interaction together in one bubble. You have the customer service and the systems to keep your business organized and running efficient. You also have the marketing aspect, where you're going to need to get the word out about your business, and not just getting it out, but getting it out to the right people the right way. And so there's costs associated with running a business. And so it's just best not to tie up all of your working capital into inventory. You want to make sure that you have enough left for marketing too. Now, I also am a big firm believer of using organic marketing, opposed to a lot of the paid ads and things like that. And sometimes organic marketing can be free, can be completely free. But you still want to make sure that you have money on reserve for like your website, different organizational tools. You may want a label printer, branding material, and things like that. So another thing that people may experience too is thinking that bundles will sell themselves. I see this a lot. People just assume that because everyone that they know wears extensions, okay, well, I'm going to be successful because all my friends, I've heard this so many times where people have said, all of my friends wear extensions. We all wear the best virgin hair. I know they're all going to purchase from me, just for that person to order bundles from me and say, my friends didn't purchase, or hey, this happened and they thought they were going to be able, but they didn't. So it's that relying on everyone that you know piece that I don't believe is really secure, because it's going to take more than the people you know to make your business successful. It's going to take more than your inner circle and your family. They're a huge portion if they support. Trust me, that's going to, matter a lot to you, and it's also going to be a huge positive impact toward your business. But the truth is, if you want your business to continue to grow, you're going to need people that you don't know. You're going to need a bigger circle to be able to continuously purchase. And so just because you know people that wear extensions, and just because people are saying, I'm going to buy from you, doesn't mean that's going to happen. So when people rely on the fact that the hair is just going to sell themselves, or just word of mouth only, or not having any systems in place, just thinking, okay, if someone wants hair, they'll just text me, and then not having anything set aside for branding or marketing, these are reasons, this is, a group of reasons why businesses don't make it past the first 1 to 3 years. Now, what I want to switch to is I want to start talking about mindset and how some people's thoughts actually kill their business growth. So we're going to talk about mindset traps, because honestly, these stop more businesses than money ever does. The way that you think, the way that you are moving, your patterns, your behaviors, the way that you interact with yourself, with other people, it is so monumental as far as how much it can either tear down or build your business, that a lot of people don't even understand it. So we're going to be talking about this next, okay? And also with mindsets, let's just talk about telling ourselves lies, okay? I used to talk about this so often. Some of the lies that we tell ourselves about what we can't do, and what we won't achieve, sometimes it really starts to live out in our lives because of what we've told ourselves so constantly. So, the first thing that I want to talk about in relation to mindset is the fear of showing up online. So many people want to go on camera, but don't want to post consistently, or just scared of what others may think. But if you're not showing up, your business isn't getting as much exposure as it could be. And so I talked in my previous podcast episode, I believe, but for sure I know I did do a video. I can't remember if it was a podcast episode and video or just video. Don't remember, but I did talk about in the content. So that's why you have to follow me on both, on my YouTube channel and on this podcast, YouTube channel at Brittany Bundles. But I talked about how so many people want others to show up for their business, but they're not even committed to showing up for their business. You want others to make sure that they're following your Instagram or subscribe to your YouTube, but there's no new content. You're not wanting to post. You don't show up consistently. So we have to make sure that we're showing up before we expect others to do the same. If you're not willing to show up for your business consistently, why would someone else want to do that? Okay, yeah, maybe they're a good person and maybe they just want to support no matter what. Maybe they like your products and they want to see when the new discounts or products are dropping, right? But just being honest, generally speaking, will you keep going to a store if you don't know if they're going to be open or not? They may have your favorite candy, but eventually, if you pop up at the store during normal business hours and someone isn't there, but then you go 2 weeks later and they are, and then you go, a month later and they're not, and then you try back 2 months later and they're not, but then you drive past one day and they are, you may just find someplace else to get your needs or your wants met because it's not consistent. And so if they're wanting business, the best thing for them to do is to consistently be accessible, or at least set the right expectation. Hey, we're open these days between these hours, and then be there when they say they're going to be open, right? So we have to have that same type of mindset with our business. Another thing, okay, that can cause businesses to shut down within the first 3 years is when business owners start to compare themselves to others. Okay, social media makes it easy to think that, maybe her hair company looks better than mine, or she got 1,000 orders and I only got five, or he's getting more support on social media and more engagement and I'm not getting any. And that comparison can kill your momentum if you allow it to. Constantly comparing, and you're not even able to see full transparency. You don't know how many orders that company is getting. You don't know how many loans that company has taken out. You don't know how much in debt that company is. You don't know if that company is even doing well. You only see a portion. And I'm not saying that maybe that all companies aren't doing well on social media, but I'm saying that a lot of times we start comparing where we don't even compare. Like we're comparing apples and peanuts, right? Like we see the full transparency of our business, our sales, right? But we don't see that with anyone else's business. And instead of us focusing on how we can become better, how we can collaborate, we're focused on, well, why don't we look like this company? Why are we not doing good? And it starts to get in our mind. And if you allow it to do that, then it can stop your motivation, your momentum, and eventually just make you not want to show up. Another thing that's worth talking about is being impatient. So I always say that this is a marathon, it's not a sprint, okay? Expecting overnight success leads to burnout and disappointment. Give yourself grace and space to grow. Another point that I want to make is lack of confidence in pricing and value. So if you don't believe your hair is worth what you're charging, no one else is going to believe that either. Stand firm in your value. People pay for quality service and trust, okay? So when you're sounding unsure about what you're offering, when you're sounding unsure about the quality, when you aren't standing behind what you offer, you don't want to put your face. I'm not saying that you have to put your actual face behind your brand, but when you don't want to stand strong or put your mark on what you're offering, a lot of people may start to become skeptical. Like, well, why isn't she wanting to promote what she offers? Or why has she never worn what she's offering? Why don't I hear her talking about what she offers? When I communicate with her, she doesn't sound too sure, even about the pricing that she's charging me. So be confident in the value that you're offering. Find something, a product. If it's not hair, it could be something else, but find a product that you stand firm behind, that you can back, that you believe in. The next point that I'd like to talk about is the survival blueprint. So, how do we beat the odds? How can we come up on top? And how can we actually make it past the 1 to 3 years, right? Let's talk strategies, things that will actually keep you in business long term. So, number one, build an email and text list from day one. Okay. It doesn't have to, you don't necessarily have to have a text list, but at least an email marketing list. That's like, you have to have it. So social media is so powerful, but you don't own social media, okay? So an email list is your direct line to your customers, and it's like gold when sales are slow because you can actually work your email mailing list. You can follow back up with people that were interested in maybe a certain product that you were offering or a service. You can check back in with people that have already purchased and ask them how their service was or how their product is holding up. And you can just make engagements that can help further your business and rekindle some of those conversations and sales. Also, what you can do is show behind the scenes. So people don't just buy products or hair, they buy connection. So show them like your packaging process, your supplier trips, your daily hustle, like that builds trust. And when I'm saying your packaging, I created so many videos on YouTube just showing how I packaged orders, how I made trips to the post office. I didn't show picking up hair from an actual supplier, but I showed when I got my inventory in the mail and how I organized it and things like that. So just show people behind the scenes of what you do, how much you care about the business that you're selling others. And that's going to make people trust you and feel like they know you a lot more. And they're going to want to follow your story. And that's another way that you can capitalize on building a support system in a community, and also more monetization options when people are actually interested in following your story. not just buying your products. Another tip is focus on one strong sales channel before doing everything. So maybe that's Instagram for you. That could be TikTok. It might be like pop-up shops, but master one platform, then expand. So for me, I initially got on Facebook, and Facebook was cool. Like, it was good. It did help grow and get some momentum going. But I really started connecting with a lot more people once I got on YouTube. And I really did a lot of my focus in on YouTube. And still now, like now, YouTube is still like my main platform. I still post on different platforms. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that. But YouTube is like the main hub. So focus on one particular platform, master that, get consistent with that, like on there, and then start expanding out. Also, you want to treat your customers like they are VIP customers, okay? So it's cheaper to keep a customer than to get a new one. Follow ups, send thank you notes, create loyalty perks. When you're reaching out and talking to people, like I mentioned, working your email mailing list, asking them how they enjoyed their interaction or how they're enjoying their product, that's going to build more rapport between you and the customer, and that's going to make them feel more comfortable purchasing from you. So many companies underestimate repeat business, and I've made some videos on my YouTube channel at Brittany Bundles on how I'm able to get new customers and also keep customers, have repeat business, because you need repeat business and new customers to continue to have your business growing. I think so many people get comfortable with the strategy that they have to get new customers, and they get new people through the door, but they don't do a great job with perfecting that experience and making sure that they are staying in communication with them, nor setting a good experience up, meaning they didn't enjoy the interaction when they first purchased. Maybe you weren't as helpful as they thought you could have been, or maybe you weren't present at all through the shopping process or the purchasing process, or maybe they felt like ultimately they felt like there was a huge disconnect, and so they made the purchase but they never came back. Or maybe they didn't like the quality of the product, so they bought the product the first time and never wanted to reorder again. But whatever the case may be, it's super important to make sure that you're building as much rapport as you can with existing customers, because your existing customers are a very important piece to your business, okay? Another thing that I'd like to talk about is invest in your business. So don't spend every dollar you make. Put some back into inventory, marketing if you're going to pay for like ads and different marketing strategies and applications, and improving your customer experience, okay? That's how you scale your business, okay? And then, I just want to leave everyone with this encouragement. All of this is not going to happen overnight. It takes time for your business to grow. You could be doing everything right except waiting, okay? And it just takes time for people to get familiar with your business. It takes time for you to get familiar with your position and comfortable talking to different people and marketing and finding different strategies that work for you, because everything is not going to work the same for every business. So just be patient and know that it will take time. But to recap, most hair businesses fail because of lack of systems, underestimating marketing, mindset traps and lies that we tell ourselves, and being impatient. But if you focus on building lists, focus on showing up, treating customers well, and reinvesting, you can absolutely beat the odds. I want you to leave this podcast encouraged, because the truth is, success is in this industry. It's possible. I'm living proof, and so are many others. But it requires commitment, resilience, and a willingness to keep showing up even when it feels slow. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, make sure to subscribe, share it with someone who's thinking about starting a hair business, and leave a review. It helps so much more than you know. And if you're ready for deeper support, check out my Patreon community, my ebook, or connect with me on Instagram at Brittany_bundles. That's Brittany, BRITTNEY_bundles, BUNDLES. You can also follow me on this podcast Instagram at Brittany_bundles_podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, keep going, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself. Talk to you later.